Hey everyone, and welcome to one of my Photoshop video tutorials where I am going to teach you some of the basics of working with Photoshop. Now remember that Photoshop is simply a photo editing tool, and it helps you update and enhance your JPEGs, PNGs, and TIFFs. Now half the battle of working with Photoshop is learning how to select things, so I'm going to show you all the selection tools that you can work with. I'm also going to show you some fun tips and tricks that Photoshop can do to help you further enhance your images. So let's get started. Now as you can see, I already have a practice image open. And before we really get started, we just need to make sure a few things are set up on your computer to make your learning of Photoshop a little bit easier. So I'd like for each of you to go up to the top right hand corner just underneath that exit button and make sure that you are working in Essentials. So right here I see that I do have Essentials already checked. In my opinion, this is the easiest setting that will allow you to find everything you need to adjust your images. The next thing I would like for all of you to turn on is the ruler. So do you guys see this bar right here? This helps me see and know what size the image is that I'm working with for both width and the height. If you don't have the ruler showing, simply go up to View and all the way down to Rulers and just make sure that it is checked. You can also type Control-R to turn the rulers on and off. Now my ruler is already currently set to inches because I'm an interior designer and that's just how I roll. But if you want to adjust the units of measurement on the rulers themselves, just right click on the ruler and you will see all the options at your fingertips. So if you're outside of the US, you have centimeters and millimeters to work with. And it's important to note that Photoshop's default unit of measurement is the pixel, and that is why it is at the top. But if you are a hardcore Adobe user, you will see that Illustrator's default measurement of points is there, as is InDesign's unit of measurement, which is picas. Pika pika! So I'm going to keep mine in inches. And just to show you, I'm going to zoom in pretty far by using the Control+ button so that you can see when you are working with Photoshop that you are indeed working with pixels, which are tiny squares that make up the colors of the picture. It's very unlike Illustrator, which usually works with vector-based shapes. So just showing you all the fun little dots and all the shades that it can take to make up a picture. I'm going to Control- out. And let's get started by taking a look at the left side of the Photoshop screen where you'll see the main toolbar. Now if for some reason this toolbar ever goes away, simply go up to Window and find the toolbar or the tools all the way towards the bottom. Just make sure it's checked, and basically Window is where you can find pretty much any panel or tool set that you want to work with. So if something's missing, like your layers panel, see your layers over there on the right hand side of the screen? If I uncheck it, oh, it goes away. But never fear, just go back up to Window and check layers and it comes back. Alright, well in the toolbar I want you to look at the first three buttons. That first command is the Move command, which is pretty much the same as how AutoCAD and SketchUp use the Move command. And the three buttons below that Move command are your selection tools. Now each button has a higher level of selection capability. So I'm going to start with the more general selection tools and we'll work our way up to the smarter selection tools. That second button down, I currently have it as a circle, but you probably have that rectangle look to it. We call this the Marquee selection tool. And the tools in this button work just like selection boxes in AutoCAD and SketchUp. So I'm going to select that rectangle and then I'm going to draw, click and dragging a rectangle out onto the screen. Now you should see a box on the picture, but look at that. That box looks kind of animated, right? Now in Photoshop world, we call this the marching ants because that's exactly what they look like. Ants at a picnic table, right? So anytime that you see the marching ants, you should know and understand that all the pixels located inside that box are selected and ready to be adjusted. So for example, I can now use the move command, and you'll see how it kind of highlights that selection. The ants are there, they're just kind of going a little slower, but you can now move that selection out, and therefore you are adjusting the photo. Now, if I wanted to place it back, I'm just going to use Control Z to undo. And if I want to remove that, I can hold Shift with Control Z, and it will do the last command that I did. So again, Control Z to put it back in place. Now the marching ants will stay on your screen until you tell Photoshop to deselect. The deselect command is Control D. So Control plus the key D, and you'll see that the marching ants actually go away. So just remember, once you deselect the marching ants, those go away, and you are now free to continue using commands on the entire picture, not just what was selected inside the marching ants. Now sometimes Photoshop gets a little antsy and it kind of wants to have a selection box. So if you feel like you want to put a selection box around the entire picture, just do Control A, and it will select the entire picture. You won't see the marching ants in that way. Another way, I'm going to Control D, is to go up to Select, and then you can choose All as well. Now there are more general selection tools, so if you look at that button in the toolbar, you'll see a small white triangle. That indicates there is a hidden panel. So simply take your mouse, click and hold down that button, and that hidden panel will appear. And once it appears, you can let go of your mouse. And this reveals the other selection tools. So here you're going to see that there is that elliptical marquee tool. I'm going to click on that, and you can draw out an elliptical shape if you want to. I'm going to Control D, and I'm going to hold Shift while I'm drawing, and that will get you a perfect circle. Now if you hold Shift while using the rectangular marquee tool, it will give you a perfect square. So again, once there is a selection being made, I can come in here and I can move those out of the way, and you can kind of see how that selection selects all those pixels inside of the marching ants so that you can then adjust what's inside of just that circle. I'm going to Control Z, I'm going to Control D, and we're going to move on to the next button in the next video.